In the heart of the ancient world, a land was promised, a land steeped in divine prophecy and eternal disputes. Today, we call this region Palestine and Israel. But what did the ancient scriptures really say? Welcome to a journey through time, texts, and turmoil. This is not just history. This is the blueprint of enduring conflict. The Bible, a book revered by billions, mentions Canaan, the Philistines, but never Palestine as we know it. Yet today's headlines scream of an age-old feud painted as a biblical prophecy unfolding. Are we witnessing the fulfillment of divine words, or are we lost in a historical echo that distorts the past to justify the present? Tonight, we peel back the layers of history, scripture, and conflict. We dive into the controversies that connect ancient prophecies with modern political battles. Is the land soaked in divine promise or human bloodshed? Who are the real inheritors of the Holy Land? And can ancient texts justify modern borders and bullets? To understand the roots of the conflict that engulfs this sacred earth, we must journey back thousands of years to a time when empires rose and fell, and the land known today as Israel and Palestine was called Canaan. Canaan, a name that echoes through the corridors of time, a region at the crossroads of civilizations. It was here that the earliest stories of the Bible unfolded, where prophets walked and ancient peoples battled for dominance. Archaeologists and scholars tell us that Canaan was more than just a piece of land. It was a cultural and commercial melting pot, prized for its strategic location connecting Africa and Asia. Mighty empires such as the Egyptians, Babylonians, and later the Romans all set their sights on this narrow strip of land. But it's not just the strategic importance that made Canaan famous. According to the Bible, this land was chosen by God as the promised land, designated for the descendants of Abraham through his son Isaac and grandson Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. The promise of Canaan to Abraham and his descendants is one of the pivotal covenants in the Bible. It's a land described as flowing with milk and honey, symbolizing prosperity and divine favor. Yet, this promise and the resulting journey of the Israelites to claim it, as outlined in the biblical books from Exodus to Joshua, have been the source of endless debate and interpretation, setting the stage for millennia of conflict. Today, the remnants of ancient Canaan lie buried under modern cities and towns. Yet, the biblical narrative of this land as a place of promise continues to resonate deeply, influencing the hearts and politics of millions. While the ancient name Canaan sets the stage for our understanding, the terms used in the Bible to describe this land and its people are layered with historical and spiritual significance. To navigate the complexities of these terms, we need to delve into the scriptures themselves. Apart from Canaan, the Bible uses several terms for this region, each with its own context and connotations. For instance, Israel often refers not just to a place, but to a people, descendants of Jacob, also known as Israel. This is crucial in understanding the biblical narrative. The term Israel evolves from a familial lineage to a nation bound not just by blood, but by faith and covenant with God. Another term that often surfaces in discussions of biblical geography is Philistines. This name refers to a group of people known for their conflicts with the Israelites, who settled along the coastal regions of the southern Levant. The Philistines were distinct in culture and language from the Israelites. Their presence in the region is well documented not only in biblical texts, but also in Egyptian and Assyrian records. Now, it's essential to clarify that the modern term Palestine does not appear in the original biblical texts. The name Palestine comes from Palestina, a designation used by the Romans in the 2nd century AD, long after the biblical era, in an attempt to minimize Jewish ties to the region following revolts. The term Promised Land is perhaps one of the most resonant and evocative in biblical literature. It represents not just a geographical area, but a divine promise, a covenant made by God with Abraham and his descendants. Genesis recounts God's covenant with Abraham, promising land to his descendants, a promise reiterated to Isaac and Jacob. This covenant is foundational to the Jewish faith, encapsulating a divine assurance of land, prosperity, and blessing. The struggle for dominance over this land wasn't merely about territory, it was also a clash of gods and ideologies. The Israelites, under their covenant with Yahweh, faced the Philistines, who worshipped a pantheon of gods, including Dagon and Baal. This spiritual warfare mirrored the physical battles. Each victory was seen as a sign of divine favor, and each defeat a call to religious and moral reformation. The tales of Samson tearing down the temple of Dagon, or David's rise as king after defeating Goliath, are not just stories of individual heroism. They symbolize the ongoing struggle for survival and identity in a land marked by divine promise and human conflict. The land of Canaan, the stage for divine promises and fierce battles, is also the focal point of profound biblical prophecies. These prophecies, woven throughout the scriptures, speak of destiny, divine intervention, and the ultimate fate of nations. From the promises made to Abraham to the foretelling of Israel's captivity and eventual return, these prophecies have not only shaped the faith of generations, but have also been pivotal in geopolitical narratives throughout history. Biblical prophecies are often viewed through the lens of eschatology, the study of end times. For many, these texts predict events that have a direct correlation to modern-day political states and conflicts. Take, for example, Isaiah's vision, where he prophesies that swords will be turned into plowshares, and nations will not lift sword against nation. This prophecy has been emblematic of the hope for a future peace in this historically tumultuous region. How, then, do these ancient predictions reflect on the current Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Some see these prophecies as a divine blueprint, a historical and spiritual roadmap that guides current events. The use of biblical prophecies in political rhetoric can be powerful. It can unify a nation or a community, but it can also lead to significant tensions and justify military and political actions. While many find comfort and validation in these prophecies, others caution against reading them as literal blueprints for modern statecraft. The danger, they argue, lies in interpreting these ancient texts in ways that fuel conflict instead of fostering peace. The land that we've been discussing is not just a battleground of ideologies and prophecies. It is also a treasure trove of archaeological significance, where every layer of soil reveals a piece of human history. Here, where I stand, history is being unearthed. Archaeologists work meticulously to piece together the past, from ancient Canaanite ruins to early Christian relics and everything in between. These findings are crucial in understanding the historical context behind the biblical narratives and prophecies. Each discovery has the potential to shift our understanding of biblical history. For example, the Dead Sea Scrolls have provided us with insights into the diversity of religious beliefs and practices during the Second Temple period. These archaeological finds not only validate certain historical references in the Bible, but also challenge some of the long-held beliefs about the region's ancient inhabitants and their cultures. Archaeology in this region is often controversial. discoveries can become politically charged, as they may support or contradict the narratives adopted by modern-day Israelis and Palestinians. Each artifact here tells a story, a narrative of life, struggle, and faith. But they also pose questions. How do we reconcile these tangible pieces of the past with the spiritual and prophetic dimensions of the Bible? Take, for instance, the recent finds at Tel Esafi, identified as Gath, the city of Goliath. Discoveries here include massive fortifications and structures that give us a glimpse into the Philistine civilization, challenging some traditional biblical interpretations of this giant people. The role of archaeology in this land is unique. It not only helps us verify historical events, but also forces us to confront the complexities of using the past to define the present. It reminds us that history is often written by those who prevail, both in battle and in narrative. The stories of ancient conflicts in this storied land not only fill the pages of the Bible, but also echo through the hills and valleys where they once took place. From the conquests of Joshua to the kingdom building of David and Solomon, the Bible is replete with tales of battle and conquest. These stories are not merely historical records. They are narratives that have shaped the cultural and spiritual identity of the people in this region for millennia. The archaeological evidence supports some of the biblical battles, showing fortified cities and battle scars that align with the timelines and events described in the scriptures. These ancient conflicts were often framed as divine missions, with leaders and warriors believing they were executing the will of God. This notion has permeated the region's history, influencing how both Israelis and Palestinians view their right to the land today. At Jericho, for instance, the biblical story of the walls falling at the sound of Joshua's trumpets is a powerful symbol of divine intervention. Whether or not the walls fell as described, the story itself has a profound impact on the collective memory of the people. The challenge with these biblical narratives is their use in political rhetoric. They are often invoked to justify contemporary claims and actions, which can exacerbate tensions rather than resolve them. As we've seen, the historical conflicts detailed in the Bible are more than ancient history. They are living stories that continue to inform and inflame the current conflicts between Israelis and Palestinians. As the echoes of ancient battles linger, the prophecies of old have found new life in today's geopolitical strife. Now, we delve into how biblical prophecies are used in the modern Israeli-Palestinian conflict, shaping narratives and influencing policies. The role of biblical prophecies in shaping modern political identities cannot be overstated. Leaders and communities on both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict have often turned to these ancient texts for guidance, legitimacy, and justification for their actions.